I often wondered if a mime could talk or utter a sound. I found out that they do, while I was murdering one.
I love spending my weekends going to my favorite restaurant in town. I would visit the pet store next door more often, but for some reason, they hardly ever had any animals to display. My daughter told me her imaginary friend Dana claimed she was a woman I had murdered before my daughter was born. I was so relieved when I realized I didn't have to take my daughter to see a psychiatrist.
I was thinking of visiting my mother today, but seeing her sitting on my couch unannounced just saved me a trip to the cemetery. One of my clients winked at me today. I'd be flattered if it wasn't for the fact that I'm a mortician. I asked the Ouija board to spell out the name of the ghost in the room. I was confused when it spelled out my name.
I played a game of Russian roulette with a group of friends. Unfortunately, the odds were not in anybody's favor, considering I have multiple personality disorder.
I was so touched when my wife decided to throw me a surprise party by inviting all of our friends. I just wish it hadn't had to happen right as I was in the middle of trying to dispose her body.
Seeing a tornado barreling towards your house is scary enough. Seeing a tornado full of corpses swirling around it after it had just gone through a cemetery is even worse.
My parents forbid me to play with the neighbors' kids, as they would always try to entice me to come over late at night. It wasn't until I was an adult that I learned our neighbor was a single old man that ran a funeral home. Here, kitty, 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 kitties!
My parents would always tell me it's bad luck to sing while driving past a cemetery. I don't think that's true, considering that's the reason some of my new friends decided to visit me. Oh, dear friends, I love you. Oh, dear friends, come see.
I was stuck in an elevator with strangers who had a lot of kids. I felt badly for them, considering there was a full moon, and I could already feel myself changing. I had just watched the priest exorcise the demon out of a possessed little girl. We had no idea who the demon had jumped to, but I did notice that the crucifix I was holding started to feel as though it were burning. Ever since my family placed me here, I haven't gotten along with the neighbors. Probably because the plots are too close together.
Despite being lost at sea for months with my beloved dog, I never resorted to eating him. However, the next time we go on walks, I'm gonna have to do it in a wheelchair.
I was told that if I was ever surrounded by evil spirits, to scatter salt all around me in a circle, since it would protect me. I had just finished doing so when all of a sudden I was filled with a sense of dread when I realized the label on the bag said sugar.
My parents have a painting of an old woman that always creeped me out every time I passed by it in the hallway. Tonight, however, I don't know if I should be happy or even more creeped out, considering I've just noticed she's nowhere to be seen in the painting. I was walking across the street when I heard a lady scream, "Watch out!" I don't know what she was alerting me about. I can see everything from up here. I can see. Finally, I can see.
I'm convinced there's no such thing as ghosts. I've murdered so many people that I would think at least one of them would have haunted me by now.
While house sitting, I called my friend telling her everything was fine so far except for the creepy clown doll that she had in her bedroom. She screamed for me to run, telling me that she had just tried to leave the doll out in the middle of nowhere while she was out of town. My friend was crying to me over the phone about how a demon had been tormenting her for the past couple of days. I told her she could pass the curse to somebody else by doing a blood ritual, as I nursed the still healing wound on my arm.
I just watched a man get dragged into the large pond by an alligator. I had to laugh as I set another $20 bill by the edge of the water.
After a long night of drinking, I woke up to find I had only one high heel on. Imagine my delight when I hobbled into the kitchen and found my shoe embedded in the skull of my now ex-roommate. Ever since the funeral, my family won't stop crying about how much they miss our Nana. I don't understand what they're all crying about, because her and I talk all night long.
My wife won't stop screaming in the middle of the night. Even when I go down to the basement and shake her corpse, it still doesn't help. They say that a cougar's scream sounds a lot like a woman getting murdered. At least that's what I'll tell any camper who happened to be close enough to hear what I was doing last night.
I laid on the floor, completely incapacitated by the massive heart attack I was having. Even though my obesity is the reason I'm about to die, at least my cats will be well fed for a few weeks before they hopefully find my body. I run a company that cleans the mess left at crime scenes. Let's just say I make sure that I will never run out of business.
I was just about to pick up a hitchhiker, but changed my mind the very last second I stared at her reaching for my door. I could have sworn I just murdered her a year ago.
The restaurant I just visited had amazing food, but I did find it curious why the people who worked at the orphanage next door refused to eat there.
Let's hide in the closet till she comes home.
I heard my pet parrot keep repeating. It wasn't until two masked men with knives emerged from my closet that I realized where he had heard it from. I was so glad that there was a river between me and the creepy-looking woman standing on the other side. That is, until she started floating above it and towards me.
Mr. Creepy here. Friends, we don't care what you thought of tonight's horror story. If you don't stab the like button and slash the subscribe bell, this will happen to you. No! No! No, not my leg!